Hello, and welcome to this nice little foggy pumpkin patch that I somehow found, which is kind of weird. Why would I be in a pumpkin patch? Oh, because fall is almost over. It's now November, and as you've probably seen from my other videos, it's been quite a interesting time to do haunted houses. So, now that we are done with haunted houses, time for my countdown of haunted houses. I've been to 13 of them, and I'm going to be ranking each and every one of them according to how I think and how well they did, etc., etc. And so, pretty much how this works is first, well, uh, uh, well, well, sorry. So, pretty much, I'm going to be ranking them based on how well they did, and 13 would be the worst, and number 1 would be my favorite of all time. But of course, these are my opinions. Everyone's opinion matters. So, um, I've been to 13 different events. Each of them have different houses, so like 3 houses, and I'll make sure to let you know there's like more than one house in this one, and which houses there are. Some of them are just plain old haunted trails. So without further ado, we shall turn off this music. I know, I'm doing it the easy way. And we're going to begin our countdown with number 13. Look, another nice 13. How nice of you. So, number 13, my least favorite haunt is Nightmare New England, or Spooky World presents Nightmare New England. Um, I've been to this event multiple times. There are 3 different haunts and a haunted hayride. So, technically, there's 4 attractions there. How that works is you buy a ticket, for a certain time, you get in line, you do the hayride, then the other attractions, and then you go from there. So unfortunately, while the set pieces are amazing as always, but the place just felt pretty much empty, and I had to give it a freaking run, which is pretty rare. I don't do ones, I don't like doing ones, but unfortunately, uh, the gears were not there. The attractions were very lackluster. They got rid of the actual asylum house, which give me a second to see, give you a little photo of that. So right behind me is a haunted house that was there before they put in Asylum 42, which was just a dull red building with no facade. But look at this. Look at this freaking facade. It is amazing. One of the most amazing facades I've seen. It's like a natural mansion, like a plantation, and every now and then actors will come out and they'll give out free t-shirts and all that good stuff. But ever since COVID happened, I don't know when they put Asylum 42 in, now it's just a plain red building and it's really nothing to it. So the kids were not there. It cost about $50, which is $50 way too much. So unfortunately, I had to give this a one, and this is actually one of the worst haunts that I've been to at all times. All right, so coming in at number 12 is Farmington Fright Fest up in Farmington, Maine. There were 3 houses there. Um, From what I learned, they were only given a very limited amount of time to build up their haunts from scratch, which really hurt them. They are on the Farmington Fairgrounds, and I think for the Farmington Fairgrounds does not give them enough time to build effective haunts at all. To me, when I said what I said, I meant it. It felt very lazy and very like there was no effort put into the haunt at all. There were 3 houses. There was Grandmother's Grimm's house, crematorium, and Mr. Marble's maze. Mr. Marble's maze was one of the worst ones there, and it was so pointless and lazy that I was left saying, what the hell? Um, a lot of the set pieces, I know they worked hard on it, I understand that. Unfortunately, it just didn't really feel too great. If they had another place to go to where they would be given more time to build their haunts, build their set pieces, and do a lot better with their haunts, I think they would do a lot better. But with what they have right now, unfortunately, it's not working for me, at least. I didn't feel scared. I did not feel like it was one. It was one of the weakest haunts, but it was not as bad as Nightmare in New England, which had no excuse whatsoever. They had amazing set pieces, but the actors were there, the scares were not there, and a lot of empty spaces. But this one had some good scares, but some set pieces just didn't do it, and it was just a really not so good experience. So that is number 12. Okay, so the next one is now we're at number 11. And number 11 will be Halls of Horror, and that was there in Wilton, Maine. And this was a little high school haunt. Had a little place in the high school for their little haunt. Their set pieces were, well, alright. I did something called a hall pass for that one, where the actors actually touched you. Unfortunately, the touching did not do it. All they did was guide me. It wasn't really scary. There was some interesting set pieces with the hall pass, like a very blackout area where there was really no walls. You kind of trying to figure out where the heck you're supposed to go. The White House, white fabric maze, which was interesting. Unfortunately, it just didn't do it to me. What really hurts it the most is Halls of Horror, as you can see, is really IP based. They use a lot of horror icons and scenes from horror movies, which reason why I deck a lot of points for people using horror icons is because you can actually get in trouble for that. Technically, it is copyright infringement unless you have a license to use the characters. You're not really supposed to use them in a haunt and charge people for it. So that is my caveat for that. And I did say I prefer a lot more originality than using horror icons. It's just horror icons kind of don't won't do it sometimes. So that is number 11. Alright, so at number 10, we have Phantom Closet, which has, let's see, we got Legends of the Swamp, Malice, and Wonderland. Uh, the castle one, I forgot the name of the castle one. God dang it. Whoever the castle one was, and Roots of All Evil. So, a lot of these houses were extremely mid, though the Malice in Wonderland was pretty interesting, but they had it away due to some issue with it. Um, it was a typical 3D haunted house, but it was the first haunted house where it uses a public domain thing like Alice in Wonderland, and it was really kind of unique in a way, but again, IP things don't do it to me. So unfortunately, a lot of houses were just made. They were not so great. I had really high hopes for it, but it kind of fell flat on its face. But the one thing that was worth going to Phantom Fest was Night Rides on Boulder Dash. So there's that. Alright, coming in at number 9 is Rail to the Dark Side at the Connecticut Trolley Museum in East Windsor, Connecticut. Um, I am a fellow operator at the Seashore Trolley Museum, which is kind of like its slightly older sister or brother, whichever you prefer. So, Rail to the Dark Side was pretty frenetic and pretty fun, actually. Though while the scenes were just the trolleys that were in the barn, there were some okay gear. Trolley ride itself was actually quite fun. But honestly, as far as the gear factor goes and theme goes, both of them were really lacking. But then again, this is a museum, a non-profit, so I can also forgive it just by calling it horror, but I have to be honest, when something doesn't work, it doesn't work, so. Unfortunately, while it was quite fun, it just wasn't that scary, so it is going to be on number 9 my spot. Alright, so coming in at number 8 is Canby Lake Park's Green Fest. Green Fest is ran by Canby Lake Park, which is a small little amusement park. Um, Unfortunately, it was kind of mid. Unfortunately, a lot of things at places I've been to were middle of the road. Unfortunately, this one had about 5 houses. There's 2 houses, which were 2 houses in one. So you went from one house into the other. So you didn't have to wait into too many lines. There was a San Juan House, uh, Breach, which was zombie themed, and there was a Factory Gone Wrong, which was kind of zombie themed, mutated, biohazard, yada yada yada. And then Cargo, which was held as monstrosities on a ship, and Shipyard, which was pretty unique, I gotta say. The water kids were not effective. Some of the set pieces were pretty good, the facades were nice, but unfortunately it didn't quite do it to me, so that's why it's on number 8. Alright, now we're at number 7. And number 7 will be Barrett's Haunted Mansion, which is in Massachusetts. This one I found by pure chance after I went to Factory of Terror, which will be a little bit later on this list. Barrett's Haunted Mansion had about 2 attractions, though I'm not going to count the little miniature haunted house to buy tickets. Um, I felt that they really need to do a better job with their line management. They had a certainly long line for such a small haunted house. They also use a gate system, so I'm not too sure they can do anything better than that. But there were 2 houses. There was the Haunted Mansion and then Condemned. Condemned was a lot of abandoned looking places like a arcade, diner, and so forth. I think it's kind of zombie themed, but not really. People going crazy. That was a pretty interesting one. It was alright. While the characters were not that great, what really hurt it was the Haunted Mansion itself. The Haunted Mansion was very disconnected to itself and what to expect out of the Haunted Mansion. I know it is a really weird complaint, but there's a portion you go through like one portion and you are suddenly on a plane, which was very tropey. Flight 666, come on, really? Then you're in London for it's weird, kind of makes sense. But after that, just really does not flow so well. Um, that's why I did not enjoy it much. The characters were kind of alright, but not great. I did like some of the costume designs. Some of the costume designs were pretty good, but unfortunately, the character factor was not there, so that's why it really hurts, and that's why it's on number 7. Alright, so now it's time for our countdown to get a little bit better. Well, not better, but close it down. So we're now at number 6. Number 6 will be Legends of Fear up in Connecticut. Is a It's actually nearby the alleged actual place of something called the Melvin Heads, called Dracula Drive, whichever it is, Old Dogtown Mill Road, which is really called, but it's an actual legend behind it, which was actually pretty interesting. This is consists of a haunted hayride and a haunted trail, which had different scenes. Excuse me. Um, Unfortunately, the hayride was kind of a nothing burger. While there were plenty of scenes, there were plenty after for the scenes. The scenes were not very effective. They really just were in their own little spot, and that was it. Um, Haunted Hayrides never really did it to me. There really wasn't any thematic element to it. It's just a bunch of different, disconnected, disjointed scenes. It does pass through one of the haunts, that nearby one, that was kind of interesting. There was one scene which there was nothing there, so like, why go through a graveyard when you're not going to have anything to show? The trailer itself, one part is called Revenge on the Boneheads, which had a little museum to it, and then so on and so forth, which kind of can hurt the flow. It's on a busy night, We went on a pretty busy night, unfortunately. At that, we were kind of stuck behind a very large line to the second half of the haunt. So apparently something happened, and they were just sending lots and lots of people through, which kind of ruined the haunt and the chaos. And unfortunately, it just really hurt it a lot with the scare factor. The scenes were pretty interesting. I did like the scenes. Um, Unfortunately, it was on the weakest side. So, unfortunately, Legend of Fear is on my number 6 spot. Alright, now we're getting closer to the number 1 spot. We are now at number 5. Number 5 will be Legend of the, sorry, Fear Town up at Seekonk, Massachusetts. Fear Town was ran by the same company that did one of my favorite haunts of the year. Unfortunately, this one kind of was very disappointing and was very middle of the road, but there were pretty interesting set pieces. Mata Guillotine was very repetitive though there were some good gears here and there, which did kind of save it from being lower on the list. Unfortunately, the operation-wise, they forced me into the group, which I did not like. Um, but there were some pretty interesting things that they did do. There is a pretty interesting midway. There were pretty fun games. So a lot of that did save the hunt from being up a little bit lower on my list. But there were some pretty good things that mostly it was just unfortunately like a lot of the ones that are previous were kind of middle of the road and where we just didn't quite do it for me. So that is Pure Town. Uh, I should probably talk about it a bit more. There were several haunts. There was Mountain Guillotines, Black Cat Feeder, and Sasha 2. Black Cat Feeder was a haunted movie theater, which was pretty interesting themed. Some of the guests were pretty good because I did go through my own. The other two, they forced me into the group, which was just a no-no. So, um, yeah, that's number 5. All right, now we're at number 4. And number 4 is The Dark Woods up in Milford, New Hampshire. The Dark Woods, well, it wasn't that scary. I had to really join the group and catch up so I could go to another haunt that night, which was a little bit fewer to me. I should not have done that. Once I would have really enjoyed the haunt a little bit more. Darkwood takes a mixture of horror and comedy and kind of blends it together with lots of improv. There were pretty good set pieces and really consistently themed. There were no clowns. There was really a lot of backwoods, uncomfortable people that just really, it was really funny. I did laugh a lot, but as far as scare factor go, it was kind of on the weaker side, but for it being funny and the way they did it, I was really impressed with their operations. They only allow 6 people at a time. Though while that can make one pretty long, it does allow the scare actor to breathe and actually scare the people that would do the thing. So yeah, the Dark Woods. Okay, so now it is time to get into our top hunts. Start with number 3, which would be Haunted Overload up in Lee, New Hampshire. Haunted Overload it really oozes with the Halloween atmosphere with its uh, many card pumpkins. It is a haunted trail, so it is just the one attraction, just like Dark Woods. They did a lot of mind screwery and mind fuckery. What you think might be not a person, was a person. They were pretty creative with their scares. I was somewhat consistently scared. Were plenty of really nice set pieces, a haunted mine, clown house from hell, yada yada yada. Um, it was actually pretty fun. I really did enjoy it. It was pretty good. I gave it a perfect score, a 5 out of 5, with the amount of good scares and really just overall enjoyment of the attraction. So, but there are attractions that actually did milk it out of the water, so unfortunately it is the number 3, and it's going to get a little bit harder for me to choose what is my favorite one. I think I got a general idea now. Alright, we're now at number 2. And at my number 2 spot is Fright Kingdom up in New Hampshire, which was relatively close to where Camberley Park is. This place was pretty dang good with 5 attractions, and one of the attractions is a blackout maze, which is no lights in it. Chalk pads, a lot of things that just really mess with your mind. It was actually pretty good. I was really impressed with it. Someone consistently scared through them, so it was a number 2 spot. However, there's one that kind of blew everyone out of the water with the scares and set pieces and all that good stuff, and that one is next. Alright, so the winner of my favorite haunt of the year 2023 is, come on, Factory of Terror up in Fall River, Massachusetts. So congratulations to Factory of Terror. You have actually made one of my favorite haunts. I had not been so consistently scared through a haunt where, you know, I was kind of shaking a little bit, but, you know, it's all in fun at the end of the day. Well, they had the best and the most disappointing at the same run, but Factory of Terror did definitely win hands down. I was able to go for my own. I did not run to anyone else, so their timing, the well, way they sent people through was pretty top notch. I did really enjoy it. It was really scary, and I thought the set pieces were pretty good. It was somewhat consistently factory themed, so it was that. Uh, but there were some tropes. But overall, Factory of Terror gets my number 1 spot. So, thank you all for watching my little top 10 list. Until next time, stay spooky.